I'm taking 5 flights on my craziest route ever just to get from Thailand to Sweden. This was in a period when flying between Asia and Europe without a flight booked far in advance became close to impossible. We could have flown on one ticket from Bangkok to Gothenburg where our families live, but at an extortionate cost. I'd rather just stay self-stranded and never leave Thailand again than pay this much one way, but I thought I will find a cheap way to do it, whatever it takes. First though, we need to get from Bangkok to Ürümqi, West China. Luckily, it's quite cheap to do that if you're willing to connect a few times. So in total, we're taking 5 flights over the coming days from Bangkok to Guangzhou, then flying around a bit in China, first on a Chinese-built Comac C919 from Guangzhou to Wuhan. Yes, that Wuhan. Next, from Wuhan to Ürümqi. Never thought that'd be a route I'd fly. Next, we leave China and fly across the old Silk Road from Ürümqi over Kazakhstan and the Caucasus to Istanbul, the European side, before finally switching airlines to Turkish for the last leg to breathe that fresh Scandinavian air in Gothenburg, Sweden. Oh, and since I'm trying to do this as affordably as possible, we're flying economy, of course. 21 hours in economy, to be exact. On the day we left, the cheapest ticket to Europe from Thailand was $3,676 for the two of us. In total, we spent just over $1,600, saving over $2,000. First off, Bangkok to Wuhan, a flight that would have cost $1,096 for the two of us. Instead, as a points master, I used a rare sweet spot to book these exact flights for $240 per person. I normally teach people how to fly first in business class for up to 80% off in my points master program, but as you can tell, it even works for economy sometimes, especially on last-minute pricey flights like this. Flight 1 is taking us from Bangkok up to Guangzhou. So far, there seem to be 3 empty middle seats left. Check-in closes in 15 minutes. The one between us seems to still be empty. So we are just praying to be so lucky to get an empty middle seat. So let's head to our gate G1, not G6, for our 737 MAX flight up to Guangzhou. I never knew there was an airside transit hotel here at BKK. That is so good. Thanks to my Air France KLM Gold status, we got to board first out of everyone. So this is one of those trips where we will really appreciate that status. Morning. Hello. Morning. Okay, this would be where to sit, row 50, but we are here in 53 on this side. We've got the 737 MAX massive overhead lockers, which is great. And then our nice zebra-ish seats. So how's the leg room? Not terrible, but also not great. I'm 6'2", 187 centimeters. So leg room can be a bit of a struggle, but I feel like this is comfortable enough. We've got a slimline seat with our massive in-flight magazine up here, which we will have plenty of time to read across 4 China Southern flights in the coming days, and our tray table extends like that. And here is our wing view. Oh, the window's a bit dirty, isn't it? Look up here, individual air vents and reading lights. So individual air vents are quite uncommon in Asia, but not today. We've flown to or from China quite a few times, and one thing is almost always the case, that we are almost always the only non-Chinese people on those flights. Today, that is a huge exception to the rule. I would say it's almost 50% Europeans, which perhaps tells you something about where people are choosing to connect instead, and a lot more people are flying through China to get home to Europe, maybe than they normally would. I don't know what we did to deserve this, but I counted about 4 empty seats on the flight, and one of them is here. We just completely lucked out. We are just on flight 1. What's so cool about this trip is that every single flight will be so different from the last. We're trying different aircraft types, different flight times, different airlines. This could either end up being one of the worst trips of our lives or a breeze. The meal service has started, and look at this. We have a meal box. So, well, first of all, we have our hot meal, which is this tofu and noodle dish. Looks pretty good, actually. I guess this might be Bangkok catering. I'm not entirely sure. Actually, I think it is Bangkok catering. Then we have a little bit of fruit. We have some papaya, melon, and pineapple. This bread roll and soy milk. Look at this. Awesome. One thing I will say about China Southern, which I think I said in my previous review about them, is that their website is extremely difficult to use if you're not based in China. So everything like special meals, seat orders, all had to be done by the phone, which is fine because they were very helpful there. I'm just so happy that everything worked out, that we have our meals. Granted, this is flight 1 out of 4 on China Southern.
Also, by ordering a special meal, you always get served your food first. So that's another benefit. That goes for any special meal, by the way, so gluten-free, Indian, vegetarian, whatever it is.
So they actually hand out headphones if you want to listen in or use the entertainment, but the headphones are over ear. They're actually better than what you get on many airlines in premium cabins even. Our next flight, this is one to look forward to, the Comac 919. So obviously this video is all about getting this trip done as economically as possible, which is appropriate because in general I'm an extremely frugal person. That is why I'm addicted to today's video sponsor, Founders Card. I am a very frugal person, and if you are like me, today's video sponsor, Founders Card, is made for us. Founders Card is a membership that gets you VIP treatment and pricing across hotels, airlines, lifestyle brands, and business tools, often at rates that are better than what you'd get through credit card deals or third-party portals. The travel perks are an obvious benefit, with discounts on 18 airlines worldwide and instant loyalty status with huge hotel chains with no stay or spend requirements. Some other discounts I love on Founders Card: Blade helicopter transfers from Manhattan to New York area airports, Avis discounts, and Virgin voyages. There are so many perks on Founders Card that have made me realize, painfully, that I have overpaid for a lot of things over the years, and you really don't have to, because you can try Founders Card completely for free and explore over 200 perks for 12 months by scanning the QR code on screen here or tapping that link at the top of the description. And if you love it, upgrade to Elite for just $295, saving you $700 in your first week. Landing in 20 minutes, so far so good. Excited for 5 hours in Guangzhou Airport. We will have plenty of time to explore, hopefully get a bite to eat, and of course clear immigration and check in for our next domestic flight. Flight 1 done. Easy peasy. This is pretty cool and efficient. The flight to our right is to London. The flight to the left is to Amsterdam. So the two main European connections on either side. You want to know the single coolest thing about the next flight? Well, okay, there's a lot of cool things, but it is our first ever domestic flight in China, because we've never had Chinese visas before, always just used the free transit visa, which you're not allowed to fly domestically on. But now, starting in 2026, a sweet, perfect timing, get visa-free access to China for 30 days.
We were like literally one of the last countries to get it, of the countries that they rolled it out to. But yeah, we've flown to like Hong Kong before and to Taiwan from mainland China, but never within mainland China.
We're through immigration here at the transit area, and look, there's even a 7-Eleven in the transit hall. So this is the area for international to domestic.
We have a 7-Eleven over there, and then we have a coffee machine and a food and drink vending machine over there.
Wow. So you can sit here and wait. Here's the transfer desk. We still have 4 hours to go, and they are really trying to get us to upgrade. This area is so chill. They've got tables. All of these seats do indeed have power ports. They have drinking water fountains over here. So immigration took about 20-25 minutes, got our transit boarding pass in literally 1 minute, and now we're ready to head through and hopefully find some good food. Oh my goodness, look at this. Gorgeous. Look at this. How nice is Guangzhou Airport. A little gray, but clean, modern.
And you can see your own reflection in the floor, quite literally.
Yeah. A few cool things we've seen in the terminal so far are rental power banks. You use Alipay to access those. Some lockers to store your things if you want to walk around with empty hands. And this billboard. Okay, we found the best thing yet. A China Southern Cafe with an A380. Can you see how big this model is? That's crazy. Shame they don't fly it anymore though. The people working here even have flight attendant outfits on. I love it. A quick priority pass lounge visit later to have some noodles and some amazing roasted sweet potatoes. We have found the crowded part of the terminal and we're heading to our next flight on the C919. This airport is stunning. It reminds me of Hong Kong Airport, which is funny because we are very close to Hong Kong at the moment. They even have couches. How comfortable does this look? Greenery, private seating pods over here. This is so civilized. Also, charging all along those seats. Check this out. You can have a little group meeting around your table. There it is, the C919. Our next plane type. This whole trip is worth it just to finally get to fly the C919. Check out this special livery C919. It is actually a stunning aircraft. I'm making a whole separate video on the C919 flight because it's so cool and so special and there's so much to say. So make sure you're subscribed to see the full deep dive into that. This flight sold out. Luckily, it's also the shortest of all the flights, but let's see if any of the longer flights will be sold out. A thought that makes me a little bit nervous. I'm sorry, did we just land in Wuhan? That is crazy. Are you kidding? Wait, it's cold out.
It's so refreshing. It's such a nice temperature.
It has been a while since we felt fresh air.
Fresh air in Wuhan, baby.
Yeah, let's do this. So here we are greeted by these electronic, I don't even know, is this a luggage mover or no?
I guess not.
No English. So check this out. Guys, here we have a business of office area, very handy. And then look at these massage chairs. How fancy and high tech. And you can put this down to cover your face so no one sees you. We also have more chairs along the walls and these gorgeous high ceilings. Look at this, it's like a kid's lounge with all types of facilities for parents. That's so cute. Let's start out here at the transfer service, see what they can do. Free accommodation for transfer passengers. No wait, 24-hour transit accommodation service. Well, now we know next time. why do they literally have better information here in English than in 90% of Europe? Good luck trying to get this specific information on the ride-hailing location. Today has really just gotten more and more random. Not that Wuhan is random in any sense of the word. There's about 14 million people here, but to us, I would say more and more unfamiliar. Going from Bangkok, a place we have been literally dozens of times, to Guangzhou, a place we have been before, but not a lot, to an entirely new place. But the next flight is what truly takes us into uncharted territory, not just by us, but by 99% of people. There is a flight we could catch onwards tonight, but we decide to get some rest at a hotel and explore Wuhan because this is probably the only time we'll have a chance to go here and see it for ourselves. Doing stuff like this also makes the trip infinitely more exciting. The airports just keep getting better and better. This is insane. How beautiful and clean and quiet. It's our third Chinese airline flight, right? We've gone through security before every single one. Yet now, for some reason, they decided to confiscate my Chinese made in China power bank that apparently is not certified for flights on Chinese airlines. They said it's allowed outside China on flights, not inside China on flights. So I'm like, no, just one more flight. A bit of a mid-trip hiccup. So flight number 3, we are ready. I mean, this is insane to be flying from Wuhan to Ürümqi. This is about a 4.5-hour flight, 5 hours on board the aircraft. So while I was super excited yesterday and like, wow, this is such an adventure, I'm not quite as excited. We hope for the best. It seems like this flight is a bit emptier, so we might be able to get an empty middle seat again. By the way, this next flight is also on a 737 MAX, so it's the same cabin you saw on the first flight, meaning no in-flight entertainment. Anyhow, the destination is the excitement. Oh, this is the line to get on. They've already started. Over there is our little 737. Can you see it? Busy, busy. Very grateful to have Sky Priority. Look at this, how crazy. This flight had an incredible cash deal, so we paid $135 per person one way. Not bad for a 5-hour flight. Nice glass jetway. It is gonna be dark for the next 5 hours on board. We leave at 7:40 p.m. and land at 30 minutes past midnight. But the crazy thing is, it's the exact same time zone. Hello, ni hao. How crazy is this one-row business cabin? Oh my god, it's so quiet. Wait. Welcome to flight 3. We're getting a bit confused on how to pronounce our destination, to be honest, so we will get to that. We pushed back early, which is great. The best news in the world is that, what is this? An empty middle seat, an empty seat next to us. I don't know how we got so lucky. Well, okay, I do know. 2 flights we ended up scoring because I have a bit of a strategy. I call it in-flight seating musical chairs, where I change seats about 1 million times before the flight. For this one, I changed them 3 times in order to maximize our odds of getting a row with an empty middle seat, and it seems to have paid off. The bad news, slightly bad news, is that the average flight time on this route is about 4 hours and 20 minutes in flight. Today, apparently, it's 4:50, so an extra 30 minutes. We are especially grateful for this seat today. Besides the price, one of the main reasons I wanted to avoid flying any sort of flight direct from Southeast Asia to Europe is that most of them entail taking a red-eye, which if you've watched my videos for a while, you might know that I am a red-eye refuser. Whatever the cabin, as long as there is any other option, I try to avoid those, even if it means taking 5 flights and flying through the most random places. This flight kind of pushes that because we landed 30 minutes behind midnight, but the key principle is, will I get a night in bed shortly after landing? Then it's fine. Will I land at 6 a.m. and not be able to go to sleep for, I don't know, 12, 14 hours? not okay.
This is committed by unruly and disruptive passengers, such as tampering with devices or jeopardizing good order and discipline on board, will be video recorded.
So we just took off, and I have to highlight one fact about travel in China that maybe it wasn't entirely clear when I said it as we were boarding. We are taking an almost 5-hour flight to the west, slightly north, but mostly west, and we are still gonna be in the same time zone when we land, since the entire country of China is in one time zone. Happy discovery here on flight 3. For some reason, the previous 737 MAX didn't have this. The Comac C919 did not. But here, honestly, yeah, we have some entertainment, but this is what I value most. Just knowing how much longer you're flying until you get to your destination, or especially on a longer flight like this. Let's see, what international movies do we have? Wow, I've never heard of a single one of these. How about Sky TV, documentary, lifestyle. Is this the Western? What on earth is this? Dubai dishes. Jamie Oliver. We've got largely a Chinese selection, and then Jamie Oliver. Oh wait, no way. They've got 10%. This show is amazing. We, however, will be watching this quality programming. Moment of truth. Yeah. Such a beautiful box for like a hot dog bun. But hey, we've got some dragon fruit. This is also gorgeous. I wonder if this is cherry blossom themed, specifically for the Wuhan cherry blossoms. Now what's in here? Oh, I'm scared. So we got some wheat noodles with tomato sauce, some corn, sweet potato or pumpkin, and a piece of broccoli. So A for effort, offering meals on every domestic flight at least. So far, best meal is still Bangkok Airport catering. Let's see if the next 2 flights can beat it. As we cruise along, let me tell you a little something about Western China. This region covers a vast majority of China's land, yet if you look at charts like this, less than 6% of China's population lives here. Ürümqi, our destination city, is the capital city of Xinjiang, which occupies a 1/6 of China's total land. It's also the most inland city in the world, meaning it's the furthest major city from any ocean on the entire planet, and we are gonna spend a day there.
Show this scene to anyone in the world and tell them it's from China, and they wouldn't believe you.
I actually can't believe how fast that flight felt. It was over in the blink of an eye.
And where we just landed. I cannot believe.
Literally cannot believe where we just landed. We almost never download our own shows to watch, but I feel like it's such an obvious hack to make your flight go so much faster. And of course, this empty seat was the biggest hack. Flight time ended up being 5 hours, so even more than they had promised. 40 minutes more than normal. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh my god. Oh, it is freezing.
So refreshing. I think we said the same thing landing in Wuhan.
I know, but now it's truly cold. I do not think you'll be surprised to learn that we were definitely the only, at least Westerners, on that flight, which makes it pretty insane that every announcement is still done in English. The safety demo, even in Sweden and Scandinavia, they don't do safety demos in English on a lot of flights.
I low-key wonder if they only do that if they have like foreign names on the Approx list.
I doubt it. Okay, wow. This terminal is less than 1 year old, you guys. And if you think just because we're in a place you maybe haven't heard of before,
or that it's considered a tier 2 city in China, which is quite low. By their standards.
Don't be fooled. This airport is absolutely massive. this trip might seem exhausting, it might seem random, but it is all worth it for one reason: getting to transit in a place like this. And in fact, we get about 20 hours. So we're going into our hotel, getting 7 hours of sleep or so, and then we have a guide to take us around all day tomorrow. We wanted to be able to see as much as possible and communicate, so that's why we got a guide. There is no better way to see a very exotic place to you, in my opinion, than booking a long layover. Whether it's 6 hours, 18 hours, 24 hours, just getting to dip your toes in is such a low risk way to get such an exciting, adrenaline-filled experience. Power banks, we're back. Oh wait, there's not a single one here, but that's so funny. I wonder if we could have returned the one from Wuhan here. And welcome back to Ürümqi Airport. Our longest flight awaits, 7 hours from Ürümqi to Istanbul. And the flight is turning out to be very full because it's Eid, which I hadn't considered because I expected this flight to be empty. Here are all the airlines that fly here. You can see the list of international options. Oh, Belavia flies here, S7, no Aeroflot. We have had an absolutely fascinating layover here. We will be posting a vlog on our channel, Oscar and Dan. But for now, welcome to the brand new terminal and departures here in Ürümqi. Hello. They use these things to insulate here. They're actually super handy because they're magnetic. Chinese airports, man. Here we have it, China Southern, International, can you guys see? International, Hong Kong and Macau, but we are of course flying west. So we are heading to Europe from here. That is definitely one of the craziest routes we have ever flown.
We're going from the westernmost part of Asia, basically, to the easternmost part of Europe.
Crazy. You want to get from Ürümqi to Europe direct? Well, you don't have many options. China Southern flies once per week during the winter season, so you better hope your flight doesn't get canceled. Guys, I have to admit something. I caved in. We're still flying economy, but this flight is pretty much sold out. A few seats left. So at check-in we said, what would be the price, theoretically, if we wanted to pay to block the seat between us? They said it's 800 RMB. We said, take our money. Listen, on a 6.5 hour flight, paying like 110 US dollars for 2 people to have way more comfort is a no-brainer. And considering how insanely cheap our tickets were, we got lucky twice with an empty middle seat. I was like, I really didn't want to have to rely on third time's the charm. So this time, money is going to help us get what we want. Honestly, this should be a more common thing for airlines to try to monetize, guaranteeing an empty middle seat like this. And I actually think we got a phenomenal deal. Even though the seat could have remained empty theoretically, the flight is very full and we didn't want to take any bets. This flight would have been $1,200 if booking through Kiwi. Yeah, we don't do that. The price for booking direct through China Southern was the same as Trip.com, $1,681 one way for 2 people. Awfully steep for a 7-hour flight. Again, PointsMaster saved the day, allowing us to book this flight for $299 per person. That's right, we saved over $1,000 just on this leg alone. You know, frankly, I don't recommend joining PointsMaster for economy flights since it's rarely a good value to use points for those. However, this is the type of circumstance where that knowledge helps for all cabins. So far, we're up to a total cost of $539 each to get from Bangkok to Istanbul. That compares quite favorably to the cheapest economy fare from Bangkok to Istanbul around those dates if avoiding the Middle Eastern 3. Oh, that's so funny. Just had probably our best meal of this entire trip, including at restaurants today in Ürümqi. At the China Southern Lounge, those dumplings, oh my goodness. I wish we had time for round 2, but we don't. There's a flight to Moscow in 45 minutes, so we are definitely no longer the only European looking people. The funny thing about that is also that everyone obviously assumes we're Russian as well. So at one point when we were trying to communicate with the lounge attendant, she just automatically put her translation app to Russian. So this is us, D78, busy. wide body time. Oh, what a relief, a real plane. Hello. Ooh, what are they exporting? I wonder. One can dream. Okay, welcome. Funny how this is like pretty much the exact same seat as the 737 MAX, besides the fact that there is in-flight entertainment. But that is so funny. The seat looks the same. And here we are. Why is our window blacked out? Now I'm worried. So there's one row behind us, 47, with no window, and right by the lavatories, which is why I think this is a good spot for us. Oh my god, we're on a wide body, finally. Maybe that's why this feels insanely magical all of a sudden, but I'm like, what is this? We have space. The leg room is amazing. We have a leg rest. Barely any airlines have leg rests in economy, even the world's best. But we have that here. We have charging ports, AC power, 2 in a row of 3. Tray table that folds like this. We have in-flight entertainment, adjustable headrest. This is... The only thing missing is individual air vents. But guys, after spending so much time on narrow bodies, this is easy. We also get this massive bundle with a pillow and a blanket, which is wrapped for hygiene. As a germaphobe, I endorse this. I really am not exaggerating when I say the 787 has literally never felt nicer or more modern before any time I've flown it in comparison. So I guess the biggest comfort life hack here is don't spend 10 hours on narrow body, short haul configured planes, if you can avoid it at least. So let's test the recline. I don't know if someone is actually sitting behind us or if it's reserved for crew, but I was like, it just keeps going. The good news is that the recline is really nice. The bad news is that it's one of those reclines where the leg rest extends a lot, meaning that your knees are definitely bumping into the seat in front of you. But if you have an empty middle seat, you can kind of do this and be so comfortable. I know it really sounds like I'm exaggerating and being ridiculous, but being on a wide body, sorry, I just have to keep harping on and on about it. It genuinely feels like we're in premium economy compared to what we've experienced the past few flights. I'm going through the IFE and I'm like, this is amazing. I don't want to bore you by spending forever going through the in-flight entertainment system. I just want to show you, obviously, Chinese airline entertainment standards are very Chinese-centric. So always I recommend, if you don't speak Chinese, to bring your own entertainment. But I have to say, I do still see a few decent movies here. First of all, this is so random, but I kind of want to watch The Incredibles. Incredible movie. Also Inception, amazing. Toy Story, amazing. Celine Dion, Icon, Bohemian Rhapsody, loads of kids movies. Then they've also got an Oscar-winning category, which is most of the same. Uh-oh, it is now 30 minutes after departure time. I was so excited to have one of those flights where the sun is setting the entire time because we were supposed to leave 40 minutes before sunset. Unfortunately, the sun is now setting. That is the least of our problems because they said our flight is delayed due to the China International Flight Quarantine, and they don't know how long it will be. So at least it's not a technical issue, but it's some administrative or legal thing. I guess we should just count ourselves lucky that, for one, we've had completely on-time, smooth flights until this. I mean, this is turning out to be even more worthwhile than we could have known.
Even though I fly around the world for a living, I somehow forget that delays are a real thing. A 6.5-hour flight on paper is actually much longer on board if you account for boarding, usually about 45 minutes on a wide body, and add the delay on top of that. Suddenly, the short, long-haul flight doesn't seem so short anymore.
Whoa, meal meals here. Also funny how after all the previous meals, this suddenly feels like such a massive meal in comparison. Let me unwrap everything. Here we are. I honestly think at this point we can safely say that China Southern's catering out of Chinese airports is probably in the 5 worst airline caterings I've personally ever experienced. So at least in terms of my preferences, this is just so like, where's the protein? They could so easily put tofu in this, given that tofu is ubiquitous in China. Salty soda cookies sounds interesting, and one other thing that is sort of interesting is these pickles. So that's the meal for the next 8 hours in total on board. Take me back to those dumplings in the lounge immediately. I guess impressively we get a pre-landing meal / snack on this flight, but it is not especially appealing. This is a hot toasty containing grilled lettuce. Actually, it's just lettuce that happens to be toasted, and ketchup. Okay guys, this is not very fun anymore. The excitement has worn off. I can just say that purchasing this middle seat was literally the best thing I've ever done in my life. We're gonna end up being on this aircraft for 8 hours, so the approximate price for this additional comfort per person is $7.50 extra per hour. I cannot think of a better use of $7.50. And what have we learned from this? Especially if we're flying a Chinese airline and you want additional comfort, you can always try asking if it's possible to purchase the middle seat between you to block it at check-in, and you might get an amazing deal. Thank you. Oh, flight number 4, the longest one, 8 hours later is done. We're getting off that plane. Is it weird that now it feels kind of like boring to be somewhere familiar? We are heading to our hotel for a quick night of sleep before the final leg of the journey. And we have reached the point in this trip where we are just wearing sweatpants. Good morning. Flight number 5 is finally here. Woo! We got a little pick-me-up to end the journey by randomly running into our friend.
İstanbul'a hoş geldiniz.
We wish we had more time to hang out, but we all gotta fly. Have a safe flight.
You too, guys. See you somewhere in the world.
I always say that Turkish Airlines is so kid-friendly, and this is an example. Obviously, this is the airport, not the airline, but they have a free carousel in the terminal. How cute. Istanbul airport is busy no matter the time of day, but it really feels weirdly like coming home because we fly through here so often, so it's nice to be on familiar turf. I just got Star Alliance Gold status after being without it for like 2 years, so we can also use the lounge here, which will be handy just to get a little bite, get some water before the final leg. 3.5 hours to go. Just like the airport, Turkish lounges also get very busy, but oh boy, has airline status come in handy on this trip. I don't think I've ever had a trip where we've been so grateful for it. Okay, final flight. On this one, I could have booked a business class award ticket for $350. Since we're doing it all in economy, and unfortunately there were no award seats available in economy, this flight ended up costing us $280 each one way. Ouch. Still, this means that we got from Bangkok to the European side of Istanbul for $539 when the cheapest tickets were well over $1,000, and we're getting to Gothenburg for just over $800 per person in total, which, looking across our dates, yeah, that's a pretty unreal amount. Thanks to PointsMaster, we saved $2,000. The thing I find really awesome about Turkish Airlines and appreciate about their existence is that they are really the key airline for so many secondary European cities to connect you to the world, because most of us have Lufthansa, if we're lucky, BA, Air France, KLM. They'll only get you so far to certain cities, but Turkish obviously flies to the most destinations of any airline in the world. So being able to get from Gothenburg, where my family lives and Oscar's family lives, to almost any city with one stop is just so appreciated. I always love to complain about Gothenburg Airport, but at least we can be super grateful that even with our limited connectivity, we at least have Turkish. By the way, how are we feeling at this point? Surprisingly good. I think yesterday was really the hurdle we had to overcome. So today, home stretch, final mile, we've got this. On-time boarding. Feels good. Oh, the best way to fly to Gothenburg. Not for us today, because we are back here. Wow, this looks so comfortable. Whoa, after the Chinese Airlines, I'm like, whoa, the padding. Okay, in-flight entertainment. This is good. Am I premium economy? Because after 4 flights in regular legroom seats, being in the emergency exit for this final one feels so insane. We both sat down and we're like, this is so spacious, so comfortable. And Turkish Airlines seats, I mean, we've gotten used to the blue and like purple zebra pattern from China Southern, so now we're like, this is nice. After mostly full flights besides Wuhan to Ürümqi, which was maybe 75% full, I would say this is less than 50. So what happened is that they actually asked Oscar to move back there. He gets his own exit row, as you see, row 12, and now we each have complete responsibility here, okay? Excuse me, what? We get hot towels in Turkish economy? How did I not know this? On intra-European flights? Singapore Airlines doesn't give hot towels on short flights in economy. Already the best flight of the trip, without a doubt, and the food hasn't even got here.
I'm back.
Okay, it is meal service time. Our flight attendant looks like a Turkish Lily Allen. We're obsessed with her latest album. Not the flight attendant, Lily Allen. So we're like, hello! We were just served our meals, and I have to say, everything on Turkish Airlines now feels so luxurious after China Southern. Not that China Southern was bad, but this is just like, wow. For example, the juice selection. They have so many juices besides your standard boring. Well, I mean, they're fine, but apple and orange. They have mango, pineapple, cherry, which is always my favorite on Turkish. So let me show you our meal. Look at this. For an almost 3-hour flight, not even 3 hours within Europe, we get all of this on Turkish, which is why they are, without a doubt, Europe's best long-haul airline, especially for flights to or from Turkey. Got a bit of water, got the cherry juice. Let's unwrap this. All right, voila, look at this. We've got a little white cake, not sure what that is, for dessert. This bulgur salad, almost like a kofta, but that looks delicious. A roasted eggplant with rice, I also love the shape, how everything feels so intentional and branded. We've got real extra virgin olive oil and balsamic vinegar here, and a cute little sesame bread roll. Oh, and by the way, metal cutlery as well.
I actually forgot that we were in economy for a second. Between like the metal cutlery, the presentation, just everything feels so appetizing in a way that the other flights definitely have not delivered on, I would say. So this feels very premium.
One hour left on this journey.
Feels crazy to be this close to the end.
But this flight has been so easy peasy and by far the best. Clearly the winner. That meal was one of the better in-flight meals we've had in any cabin ever. Probably my favorite Turkish Airlines meal ever, actually.
It's not often you actually enjoy a meal on a flight, but that was like perfection.
I don't think I have ever been this happy and excited to be landing in Sweden in my whole life. I mean, it's going to be so fun to see family and friends, but I'm just so glad with how this journey went. It ended up being, firstly, not too exhausting, especially this last flight. Went by in the blink of an eye, was obviously so comfortable, and I think overall, we've just been as lucky as we could have been along the trip with how all the flights have gone. We've also made some incredible memories that we will have the rest of our life with some of these adventures we had along the way. A week ago, who would have thought? Oh, whoa, the fresh air. Thank you. Fresh Swedish air. For some reason, Gothenburg Airport refuses to use the new jetways they paid for. 21 hours in economy class later, we made it, and I've had enough. Tomorrow is day one of refusing to fly economy, guys, until my next flight from Sweden in a week, which is an economy. Until then, go to refusetoflyeconomy.com to live your best first and business class life. Consider signing up for PointsMaster to join thousands of other viewers who have saved thousands of dollars on flights and upgraded their travels for the better. And thank you for joining us on this crazy adventure. One we are very grateful for. We're gonna spend a few weeks here enjoying family time, the clean air, before we're going who knows where. So until we see you in that video,
Fly safe and see you around the world. Full